15 minutes or so.
Your hair's nice like that. Don't get it cut. Let it grow a little longer. And you've lost more weight, I think. Skinny men are the most ridiculous thing there is.
And with that, moving to the third one, which is RMF has a sandwich. Eats a sandwich.
Eats a sandwich.
Chris, do you want to kick that one?
I'll do the plot on this one, too. Plot of this one, of RMF Eats a Sandwich, is kind of ironically so far away from the title of this one. It is about the Jesse Plemons character and the Emma Stone character. They are part of this kind of weird cult, and they are trying to find what I guess would be called like a very special woman. Who's what's the word that not a prophet,
kind of. She's she can bring people back from the dead.
Yeah.
But...
So they're like on the hunt for some prophesized woman, and they're on the hunt for this woman, and they find a couple candidates. They test these candidates, and in doing so, Emma Stone's character intersects with the husband and daughter that she sort of abandoned to join this cult, and they're kind of back and forth between the cult and searching for the woman they're trying to find. Eventually, Emma Stone has a bit of a reconnection with her husband, almost a forced reconnection in a way, and
I would say forced. Yeah.
Well, yeah, for sure. Which we'll get to. But she has a reconnection with her husband, and then is because of that is kicked out of the cult. And then eventually she does find the kind of prophesized woman that they're looking for.
Right.
That's the broad plot of this one. You didn't like this one, it seems like. Or how did you feel about this piece?
Well, for me, more so it was the pacing. This one felt like I started to feel the length of the film.
Interesting.
Like,
do you think it was because the film was so long and all of a sudden we're like,
well,
yeah, right. Now we're at the end.
It might have been a culmination, but I do feel like the first two did a very good job of like keeping you engaged throughout the entirety of it. Whereas this one, I feel like the middle starts to meander a little bit, and like in a weird way, I do think like this third film is searching. Like, I feel like you're searching as a viewer.
She's
searching. Like, the pacing follows the meandering search that, like, these characters are on as well. But I think, after 2 hours and 30 minutes, I'm like, oh, okay, this, like, we need to wrap this up. We need to wrap this up soon.
I wasn't feeling that, but I don't know, I could watch Emma Stone sort of do anything. But I also was just really, everything... I know I was into this. I think I actually liked the third one maybe the best if I had to choose one. I was just really, it was so weird. I mean, they were all so weird, but I really, really loved every moment that they were actually at the sort of cult, and dealing with Akka and Omi, and I just have to shout this out now while I'm thinking about it because I might not remember in technical, but Willem Dafoe's outfit as he's Akka, right? Or is he Omi?
He's Omi.
He's Omi.
She's Akka,
yeah. Is clutch. He's wearing this like dark maroon turtleneck under this orangey red windbreaker, gray sweatpants, and these like Chava sandals with socks underneath them. And they were like, Kava. Wait, what's the name of those sandals?
I have no idea.
Chinos. Nope, that's a pant.
I don't know.
Okay.
White people sandals.
People sandals. It was so perfect for like cult leader, and then he's like in a red Speedo at one point with like the costumes across the board were phenomenal, but there was something about Willem Dafoe as that character that I believed so much. And the like, here again, we have sex in a very ritualistic, strange way.
And also very controlled way.
Very controlled way. There were things going on with food as well. Like when, at the very end, when Emma Stone gets shut out of the cult, or I guess that wasn't the very end, but when she gets like shut out of the cult and she's at the gates and she's saying, no, please, like, let me come back in. I'll sweat it out and I won't be contaminated anymore. And Jesse Plemons' character is standing in the back just eating a bowl of cereal, watching her, which I was like, what the fuck is that about? It was so good. There were so many little morsels in this one that I just really appreciated.
It was a whole moment in like the hotel where they're ordering food. And,
right.
Yeah.
Right. And there's the whole thing about fish. She won't eat fish.
That's yeah.
Which like we don't ever understand if Jesse Plemons also won't eat fish and if it's a thing across the cult or if it's just her.
It has to be a cult thing because like they are so the whole cult is built around water and
right.
I took it as
fluids.
salt water, and salt makes you like salty skin because she.
Oh, sure.
That's what I was thinking.
Sure.
Because fish come from salt for the most part.
So like they everything is about water with this cult,
right?
Which is fascinating. And like before you arrive back at the cult, you see that they only drink out of this giant like 5-gallon bucket of water.
That Omi and Akka cry into.
That like we find out later that like is and I wrote down the phrase holy tears.
Yeah.
Because like yes they like and there's many shots at the cult of like people like pulling. I guess it's salt water because they're by the ocean, right? It's like taking buckets of salt water and pouring it into this tub, like this sort of big pool.
Yep.
And then eventually, like, yes, Oni and Akka, the two like cult leaders, cry into it, and that's the water they all drink.
Yep.
And
then
everyone
there's
drinks.
the like sweat lodge to test if you're contaminated or not.
But what you're content, and so like, and then so like, sex and water are parts of this because like what the contamination is that anyone having sex with anyone besides
Omi and
Akka. So like their bodies are these, I don't know, filters against contamination in this way because there's this big old compound of people and everyone can only have sex with the two of them.
Yes, and so clearly this is a cult, but what doesn't quite make sense to me about this cult is like we have the two leaders, Omi and Akka, but then they're searching for sort of the prophet or the like holy grail. They're searching for the woman who can bring back people from the dead. So then if they find her, does she become holier than Omi and Akka? Does it matter?
It doesn't matter. She's gonna be trapped on this luxury boat.
Right. Which also was very interesting. I did love the scene where Emma Stone is driving at the end and she's like, you're gonna love the boat. The boat is so beautiful. Right before she like crashes into that tank.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, what is it saying that like she finds this woman after she's been taken out of the cult, and also like,
well, she knew about her prior to.
Yeah, she meets her before.
But she still like finds her after, right?
Only because her sister, who had found her while she was still in the cult and doesn't know that she's left the cult, knocks on her door.
Yeah.
But yes, I hear you. You're saying the fact that
I took it as like thinking about this now, I think why the third one didn't hit as well for me is that I feel like this one is the most grounded and like realistic.
Sure.
Because it's only until the end when she actually does raise someone from the dead, which is like the final 30 seconds,
right,
that anything that is abnormal happens. Like cults actually exist,
right?
Raping of spouses actually happens,
right?
Like it's so much more grounded and visceral, and I think that's what made it feel so much more ugly to me.
It's also kind of the most,
maybe that's why I liked it.
That's interesting you said, because it's also the most it's also the most absurd in the way because the piece starts with them like investigate, like checking out this woman to make sure she can do this, but the thing they wanted to do is try to bring this person back from the dead. So like it is the plot wise the most grounded of things, except the people in it believe the most absurd or the most fantastical things. I don't want to say absurd, the most fantastical things.
But also so many of the things that we see in this cult are like actually things that have happened in so many cults.
Sure.
Yeah. The details are all very realistic, unlike the middle one where it's like this is it feels clearly like a metaphor of some sort.
I mean, the middle one's almost sci-fi to some extent. Like, we're talking about aliens and like abductions.
Yeah.
also, I mean, slightly going back to that and with technical, but the way she's shot at like the front door is almost like she's like backlit with like this light as
Coming
she's, like,
as
at
she's
the door.
entering.
We're talking about the end of the second one. Yeah. Well, there was another. So it's interesting we bring up water, which I didn't really think about this. That like like Emma Stone's character is looking for this prophesized person, woman specifically. And when she finds her in a dream where she's stuck at the bottom of a pool, and the women are synchronized swimmers. So again, we have water and whatnot. And then there's this whole plot line about how because it's twins.
Twins, yeah.
Margaret Qualley's character is twins in this piece. And she tells us, Margaret Qualley tells a story about how when she was young, she foolishly like dove headfirst into an empty pool. So again, water or lack thereof in this case, and in this case, lack of water was very dangerous. And somehow like water is this big water and fluids is this big through line throughout this whole thing, that it's both like purity and I don't want to say safety, but like the idea that like a certain liquid is safe, like a certain kind of water is safe, and that like they are, again, these two cult leaders are this filter against the outside world of what is safe and what's not safe.
There's also this theme in all three of like a woman's body not being her own, which I'm just now coming to. Like I this one, clearly she is raped by her husband, Emma Stone's character. Right. But in the second one,
I mean, not just that though, but also the cult. Like,
right. Well, she's making a choice there. No one, that doesn't feel like
the cult actually seems pretty chill in as far as like
because also Jesse Plemons, when they come back, says the thing of like they check in with him. Omi and Akka check in with him, and he says, "Yeah, I'm doing good, but I'm actually pretty horny." So there was that didn't feel like forced sex to me.
So
that
would you
felt
like
like
with me or Akka tonight.
Right. It felt like no, this is something they want to do.
Sure,
and was
but
maybe
we're
not
also
gonna be...
saying this without talking about the context of they are in a cult, which in and of itself is a controlling, oftentimes for like we're not. I'm sorry. I'm the producer of this podcast. We're not going to sit here and say that cults are okay. Like, we're not going to do that.
No, but
because, like,
but we can say that like there's a choice to go into a cult.
There's a choice to go into a cult, but we're not going to sit here and say that like people in Jonestown like had the choice to drink the Kool-Aid and like it was their choice. Like no, they were like manipulated
but they had a choice to join that cult.
Right.
Sure, of course, but we're not talking about joining the cult. We're talking about the people actually in the cult and what they go through, right? So like at this point, even though they're choosing to have sex with whoever they want, like one of the two, they're still in this brainwash situation
of this. These are the only people we can have sex with because the outside world is contaminated. And yes, sure.
And we have to drink this specific water with candy.
Sure.
Fish.
But yeah. So but to go back to my point of like her body is not her own in the sense of sex and pregnancy.
Sure.
And in the first one, Robert's wife and everything with her body is like it's not in her control, it's in Robert's control. And in the second one, Emma Stone's character literally has her body snatched and turns into another character.
And then does everything her husband tells her
to. So that's a really interesting thing throughout all three is like, yeah.
So there's also, we talk about, right, so Emma Stone's character she runs into her husband, her ex, I don't know, whatever husband, who they're separated. The person she kind of ran out on. And, she goes over there, he drugs her drink, he sexually assaults her. The next morning, she has this sort of walk of shame, like a literal walk of shame. She's like coming out of the house, it's morning, and then she's found by Omi and Akka and Jesse Plemons' character, whose name I don't remember. But because of that, she is now contaminated because she had sex with someone else. And what I wanted to point out is that when they exile her, there's a lot of the same language. So again, a different character that Willem Dafoe plays in this movie gives a lot of the same language to her that he does in the first part of this movie to Jesse Plemons' character, where he says, you're free, you go do what you need to do, you go live your life. And so there's this, I wrote down the phrase forcibly set free, right?
Yes.
Like there are these people who like really want to be controlled, who are said, no, you go now.
Yes, or in this case, I think there's the idea that there's something better on the other side or there's some destiny on the other side. In the case of this last one, because Akka says to Emma Stone's character when she's at the gate, maybe you were just meant to be a wife and a mother, and that's okay. And she's like, no, I wasn't. So so that theme was there of like, no, I'm destined for something more. I was to be the chosen one who would find the chosen one.
Yeah.
And so that again, going back to that like desire thing of like that desire to be something more than what it is that we think that we are, we're gonna follow whoever tells us whatever they want us to do to like get there.
Can we
move on
to technical
actors?
No, acting?
Yeah.
Sure.
How long have we been recording?
An hour 47.
Holy shit. So,
Well, we talked about a lot of stuff already.
yes,
But
but all I want to say about the actors is great job. Great work. I love these fucking actors in all the things. You both have critiques.
No, I don't actually. I think it's fascinating that they made this movie that is 3 little movies and they used the same people.
Yes.
Even the weird side characters. Like in the first movie, there's this guy who like there's that scene where they like try to buy just was trying to sell his collectibles, his sports collectibles.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 guys in it. There's Joe Alwyn, who's then kind of in the rest of the movie. But the other guy, there's just some other guy who's like a younger black guy. And I realized in this watch that he's also the husband of Hong Chau's character in the second movie. You don't see much of his face. He's Jonathan. He's the other one who survived from the island. You don't really see his face much.
Oh,
I heard his name.
interesting.
But I like
Yeah,
it has
yeah.
leg cut off. But I love that this movie decided to use everyone as much as possible.
Well, and what's so interesting that I kept thinking about is like, because like 2 of them we have hospital locations, stuff like that. Then I was thinking, are they, film wise, do they only have the hospital location for 2-3 days? So they're literally perhaps even on the same day switching into different characters,
Sure.
which is like so fucking crazy as an actor and so fun. Like, yeah, what a fun.
This movie feels like so. Again, the movie he made before this is Poor Things, which is a big budget, lots of crazy sets. They go literally all over Europe
I
in
wonder
that
what the
movie.
budget for this was.
And this movie feels so much smaller.
Yeah.
In so many ways.
It feels like a filmmaker that like probably is so tired. Like I can't even imagine Poor Things, like what that production must have been like.
It's like all the
to be
things they had to
after,
deal
be
with.
like, I want to do something that's
Simple.
story driven,
Yeah.
and like
They found a handful of sets and they were just like, let's use as much of them as possible.
Yeah.
It's all filmed in and around New Orleans, which is like a lot cheaper to film in.
Yep.
And it's just like it becomes a character almost as well. And so I like the acting all around, as weird as the acting was. And I'm also very impressed that these handful of actors played very different characters throughout all 3 of these little vignettes. And I think that actually says a lot, especially Willem Dafoe's characters are all very, very different. I think Jesse Plemons' characters have a lot of through lines with each other, but
he plays them differently.
he plays them differently.
Yeah. He's so subtly different.
Emma Stone's characters are all very different. And I don't know, I think it's impressive that all these people within the same film with a lot of the same kind of themes and stuff played very different versions of either very different characters or just very different versions of the similar characters.
Yeah. Any other thoughts for you on acting?
I mean, I think we had already talked about it, but all the acting feels very stilted and like it seems intentional, but like all the side pieces, all the side characters feel very stilted and dry to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, maybe it is what you're saying, Chris, where like they got a bunch of locals. Or do you know that for a fact?
I don't know the for a fact. But I mean, that police chief is not an actor.
No.
You can tell right away.
For sure, neither was like the bartender or
The bartender's not an actor.
All the
I didn't
hospital
think
staff
that-
seemed very like
You're
your
regular
wife will be
people.
fine.
Yeah.
Your-
Yeah,
your
but I
wife
think
will
that
be
was the point.
Sure,
Yeah.
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 But
because all the main actors are stilted as well, except for, you know, who felt the most like normalized acting, and it was in the third one was Margaret Qualley. I always say Qualley. You were saying Qualley. Do we know which one it is? When she's sitting in the diner and she's telling Emma Stone's character about her sister, and this is after Emma Stone is already out of the cult. She's so expressive. I think Margaret Qualley's like a beautiful actress, or like not
the year she's having.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean she's incredible, but it's really interesting because in this one she is so emotionally expressive on her face just immediately. Like her eyes feel like they can water in an instant, and like all the things. And like I actually think Emma Stone is very vulnerable in the same way. Like everything reads on her face. But with Yorgos Lanthimos films, Emma Stone has really learned the art of dialing that down so much. And I felt like Margaret Qualley in the last one, in that scene in particular, she moves a little. I only noticed it because of how stilted all of the characters are, that I only noticed her little movements and things that felt too natural. Like they felt too much like a human outside of this world we've created. That I was just like, oh, that's interesting because she's like, she's so expressive. I was like, we need to even less because this film requires less.
You mentioned the stilted. How do you feel about it? Do you think it served the movie? Do you think it like distracted? What do you feel about it?
I thought it was distracting.
You thought so?
But I will say after the first, I picked it up as intentional in the first story. Like this has to be a choice, like a directorial choice for them to be, because I can't imagine Yorgos getting that read and being like, yeah, that's it. Like,
really?
I feel like it had to be intentional for it to be like that. What I'm saying is like I can't imagine Yorgos not being intentional.
Oh, sure,
with acting like that. By the second one, you know, you grow accustomed to it, to where it's just like, oh, everyone's just gonna not act well,
right?
Other than the main characters,
right?
Because I will say the main characters were all very compelling in whatever role, especially Willem Dafoe. Can we talk about how much of a national treasure?
Oh, I love it. Yes, so excited about him and all this. The talking about facial expressions, but him as the dad in the second one, when you feel his heartache, you feel his my gosh, And when that scene in the driveway when she's saying go in there and talk to him, and you just feel his heart breaking when he's like, I have things to do. I can't do it.
There's another Yorgos Lanthimos, Jesse Plemons, and Emma Stone movie coming out in 2025. I don't remember the name of it now.
I didn't know he was also in that. I knew she made another movie with him.
Jesse Plemons too. Who I
interesting.
Love.
Okay.
Yeah, technical.
Yeah, we were on a technical.
It was shot beautifully. I loved the costumes.
Can we talk about the music?
I thought it was so simple yet so effective.
I love, and I was specifically paying attention to the music yesterday when I rewatched this. Like in the first bit specifically, that's what I remember the most. The first movie specifically, almost all the music is this very discordant piano, and I think it like puts everything off kilter. His character's off kilter, but then, when he is in this bar and he can't decide what he wants and he sees Emma Stone, someone in the bar is playing piano, and it's the first time that a piano is like light and happy and it's like an actual jazz tune, and the camera is just like looking at like Emma Stone's like crazy nails and her texting and just her being beautiful. And I loved its use of like kind of training us at and just like really being this other kind of very strong character in this movie.
Right.
And then it's shortly after that like we get these really strong choir bits. I love that there's these choir bits that are mostly saying no, no, no.
Right.
Which is hilarious to me.
You know what I also loved?
What?
The opening of this entire movie is a car driving up. It's RMF's car driving up.
Sweet Things, yeah.
Yeah, Sweet Things is playing, but the exact lyrics that Sweet Things are playing are some of them want to use you, some of them want to get used by you. Sure. And I was like, oh. Like after, when I realized that at the end, I was like, oh, perfect.
Some of them want to abuse you.
Yeah,
some of them want to be abused by you.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh, of course that
it's
song.
Very
and then
thematic,
there's the song that Emma Stone's character is listening to at the end when she's dancing. God,
In
I
the
can't
last
remember
one?
what it is now. Yeah.
The last movie.
Yes.
That's the credits too.
That's the
right?
credits,
That's not
yeah.
even part
Yes.
of the story.
Well, it's actually
There
not
were
the credits
lyrics-
yet, because then she goes...
No, the credits play over her. Like the
When she's
vignette
dancing?
credits. Yeah.
Yes, but then we go past those credits into her driving the car again. And
There are credits
before
during
she-
that, though?
Yep,
During her
yep,
dance? Okay.
before she crashes.
That kind of techno-y song, whatever it is, yeah.
Well, it's like a hip hoppy, techy. Yeah, there were lyrics in that though that I also clocked, and I can't remember what.
Oh, I
they were,
didn't
and
notice those. Okay.
which was really interesting.
Just want to shout out Jerskin Fendrix. That's who's the music.
Now, when he did the music for Poor Things, and that was his first movie that he scored
Ever.
which is nuts because the music of that movie is so fucking cool.
So good.
And then he does the music in this movie too. And in fact, there's a closing credits song that is him singing or whatever. So it's like another original song by him too. So I like that. I like that Yorgos did I get that right?
Yeah,
Kind
no,
of.
Poor Things is literally his first IMDb credit. Like, I love that.
Wild.
Love that.
I think he got an Oscar nomination for it.
Love that.
I thought it won.
Maybe it
not
did.
win?
Maybe it did. It won a lot of like art. That movie won a lot of like art stuff, like acting, like all the set design. I think got one Oscar.
Yeah.
But like I think it's really impressive and cool that like a filmmaker like Yorgos is like, I don't know how they found him, but it was like you're gonna make this music
Right.
and we're gonna work together. Like,
Right.
and he didn't hew to some company line
Or like
hire this person, hire that person.
Yeah, or maybe it's because, as I was saying, RMF is like a friend of his from like childhood, the actor who plays RMF.
Yeah.
So like maybe it's that too. It's like some uncle's kid, or like, is like second, who knows, like family friend that is making music, and he's like, "Oh, kid, you want to score it on film?"
And he did an amazing job. Like the music was so good, and in both these movies is great. Yeah, I don't know. I thought the music was great. I think the camera work is great.
The makeup was good too, because it was so subtle and barely noticeable there, but like spot on. Even Willem Dafoe's eyeliner.
I loved his in the third movie.
Yeah, in the third
liked his
movie,
eyeliner.
there was like
It's
little
so-
details that I just was like, yes, that were great. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, but like great
I don't
costumes,
think
like Emma Stone's like purple, like maroon pantsuit,
yes, and the
which actually
flower
sort of
lips.
matched. Like this, our sweaters were an homage to her pantsuit
Her, yeah,
And her car.
and
her dope car. Yeah,
and her lipstick. So good in that movie.
that movie, that third movie, I think was the these are the word I want to use, was the flashiest
Mm-hmm.
of them. Like her character is just very over the top in her outfits and her car and that weird
and
dance
it's
that
like
she does.
the bright red Emma Stone hair that like we all know and love.
Yeah.
I think I've just watched too many cult true crime
Movies. You're like a-
docu-series that I'm
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
I guess that's why I felt so much anger when watching that one at like the cult and like
Do you and I have to have a long talk about Midsummer because I often defend the cult in that movie, and you and I might have to
oh my gosh.
discuss
Ooh,
that
let's do Midsummer.
and disagree with it about it.
No.
That's like one of the few movies, and I'm probably gonna get hate for this. One of the few movies that I wanted to walk out of.
Really?
Like I was legitimately. It was probably after it was when the scene where in the middle of the night when he walks into the, and like the cult members like next to the building and he doesn't know it.
Into like the churchy building.
Yeah. I was just like, God, I am bored out of my mind right now. I want
Really? Yeah. Oh, see, I've only seen that movie the one time in the theater, and not because I didn't love it. I absolutely loved it, but because it terrified me to my core that I was like, I don't think I can ever watch this.
Oh god,
again.
as soon as I saw the movie, I said I need to watch this 17 more times.
More times, I know.
love this
No, I
movie.
love it, but I love it because it actually did something to me, viscerally, physically, emotionally. I also didn't know what I was going to watch. I just knew it was another one of his films, and I had loved Hereditary, and I wasn't really. I didn't think that
Hereditary's
it.
great. I love.
And I like
Hereditary.
didn't think that it was necessarily a horror film, and it was like a Sunday afternoon, and I'm strolling through Los Feliz, and it was playing at the Los Feliz 3, and I was like, oh, screw it, I'll just go see a movie by myself. So I sit through that movie by myself. First of all, what is her name?
Florence.
Thank
Pugh.
you. Florence Pugh, I had never seen her before. And in that movie, she she looks very much, or I kept thinking she looked like my sister, or like she could possibly be, like a sister of mine or a cousin of mine, just like a family member of some type. So I was also having this very like, I was relating to her on a whole other level because she felt like a family member of mine. It was bizarre.
I think it just reminded me.
I just realized I gave you a New Orleans cup for our movie that was shot in New Orleans.
Yeah, I was just reading that.
Yeah, that's a famous artist.
If
in
we
New
ever do
Orleans who
that,
does all the
we'll
New Orleans
invite you
street
back.
signs.
Yeah, we'll talk about Midsummer or Beau is Afraid some other time.
Oh, Beau is Afraid.
We'll table that for now.
Isn't it Midsummer?
I don't know.
I've heard Midsommar.
Midsummer.
That, yeah.
Have you? Oh,
I'm calling it Midsummer. I'm going to stick with that.
I think it was also because
actually,
I was in
correct
grad
me.
school at the time, and all of the film grad school students were like, "Oh, this is the best movie ever!" Oh. And I think that just like rubbed me the wrong way.
you did that the exact same way twice. It made me think that you were like the voice that they use to record Halloween things that you pushed a button of and then they go and that wraps that up. Maybe.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Listeners, viewers, if you're still
With us?
thank you. Really, really appreciate it. Chris, thank you so much for
Thank you guys
coming aboard today.
for letting me talk for 2 hours.
Thanks,
everyone.
Is there anything that you would like to plug? You don't have to. I mean, I know that your inbox is going to be crazy with all the scripts that are going to be coming.
I'm just saying, send me everything, everybody. Send me it all. Let's make some movies.
Okay. If you want to chat with any of, Kai and I, you could find us on all social media at goodbad_badgood. You can find me on all social media at Travis_Orozco. You can find Kai
at Kylene Amaya on Instagram.
And you can find me at CA Register on Instagram and other stuff probably.
Caregister.
And with that, until next time, when we watch another movie.
Good Bad Bad Good is an Ex Nihilo production. Original theme music done by Jen Star Hacker. Find her at hackersoundmusic.com. Opinions expressed are solely that of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views of any entity they represent.